So let's check it out. Solving for n in combination problems. At a general meeting, every person shakes hands with every other person for a total of 300 handshakes. How many people were at the meeting? Well, in a general handshake, we're basically we're seeing how many pairs of two people we make. And again, the order doesn't matter. So it's going to be n choose 2, and that equals 300. So that's going to give me n factorial all over n minus 2 factorial 2 factorial, and we know that equals 300 again. Well, thankfully this question actually breaks down pretty simply. I'm going to take this 2 and multiply it by both sides. So that would give us n factorial all over n minus 2 factorial, and that will equal 600. n minus 1, n minus 2 factorial all over n minus 2 factorial will equal 600. And then we go pow, 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 pow. And I get n minus 1 equals 600. Or we end up with our basic n squared minus n minus 600 all equals 0. Now, in this case right here, you're going to look at that number 600 and you're going to be like, whoa, that is a pretty big number. And it may not be immediately clear as to the best way to factor this because the guess and test could take quite a bit right here. So another way that you guys could handle this is you could just simply put it into your graphing calculator and you could look for the x-intercepts. So you could put this in as being y1. And sorry about that, n squared minus n minus 600. And then once you've done that, you'll get some sort of parabola. And then we can just look and we can find the positive x-intercept of that. So remember the 0. So if we do it like that, we end up getting a value of x equals 25. And again, you could have just factored this. That's completely fine as well. But just sometimes the factoring may not be as clear. Now, moving on, we want to solve the following for the unknown. So much like the permutations, we have something like n choose 4 equals 35. So this gives me n factorial all over n minus 4 factorial 4 factorial equals 35. Now, from here, what we're going to do is we'll move the 4 factorial over to the other side, and 4 factorial is just equal to 24. So we get 24 times 35, which will equal 840. And then on my top on the other side, I'm just going to go n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3, n minus 4 factorial all over n minus 4 factorial, which will give me the cancellation. And now we're kind of in this position where I have the n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3, and I know this equals 840. Now, in this case, it's just going to be a bit of attrition, and it will be a bit of guess and test. So what you're basically going to do is just pick a number to start from. We find out if I start with 7, it's 7 times 6 times 5 times 4. So that gives me that n equals 7. I could have also done this by just graphing and finding the intersection. Jumping on to the next one. 6 choose r equals 20. So this will give me 6 factorial all over 6 minus r factorial equals 20. Now we're again going to pull that switcheroo, and if you guys remember, this is exactly like we saw with permutations. So I get 6 factorial over 20, and this is going to equal 6 minus r factorial. So we go 6 and we divide 6 factorial, we divide that by 20, and that's going to give me 36 equals 6 minus r factorial. Now this one, again, it comes down to that guess and test. And, well, we know that 6 times 6 is 36. Oops. So that's going to tell me that r equals 3, because this will give me 6 times 6 equals 6 times 6, because it's 3 factorial, 3 factorial. And that one just comes with a bit of logic instilled, but I am going to state that r equals 3 right there. This next one is actually going to be quite a bit more algebraic. N choose 4 equals np3 over 3 factorial. So I get n factorial all over n minus 4 factorial 4 factorial. And this will equal n factorial all over n minus 3 factorial. And then that's going to be all over 3 factorial. So in this case, to really start off and clean up this algebra quite a bit, I'm going to multiply everything by that 3 factorial, and this will give me n factorial 3 factorial all over n minus 4 factorial 4 factorial, and then this will equal n factorial all over n minus 3 factorial. Now we're going to play a quick little game of switcheroo right here. So I have my choice of what I'm going to switch where. I kind of know how this is going to play out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to switch it with that one right there, which now I'll have n minus 3 factorial 3 factorial all over n minus 4 factorial 4 factorial equals n factorial all over n factorial. So now this will give me n minus 3, n minus 4 factorial 3 factorial all over n minus 4 factorial 4 times 3 factorial. And I'll just do my cancellations in one step right here. So pow pow, pow pow, and pow pow. And this really cleans this entire equation up quite a bit for us. So now I have n minus 3 all over 4 equals 1, or that gives me n minus 3 equals 4, or I get n equals 7. So my answer for that is n equals 7. Moving on to my last one right here. 720 n choose 5 equals n plus 1 p5. So I go 720 n factorial all over n minus 5 factorial 5 factorial equals n plus 1 factorial all over n plus 1 minus 5 factorial. Yep, got confused there for a second. So now we check this out, and just cleaning it up a little bit off the bat, I get 720 n factorial all over n minus 5 factorial 5 factorial equals n plus 1 factorial all over n minus 4 factorial. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to play that good old switcheroo again. So I will take the n factorial and I'll switch it with the n minus 4 factorial. And this will give me 720 n minus 4 factorial all over n minus 5 factorial 5 factorial, and that will equal n plus 1 factorial all over n factorial. This will become n plus 1 multiplied by n factorial all over n factorial, and then it'll be n minus 4, n minus 5 factorial, all multiplied by 720, all over 5 factorial, n minus 5 factorial. Then from here, we're just going to do our big old cancellations. So I get 720 divided by 120, which is what 5 factorial is. So we're left with 6. And then that cancels, and then that cancels. So I'm left with 6 n minus 4 equals n plus 1, or I get 6n minus 24 equals n plus 1. Move my 24 over, my n over, and I get 5n equals 25, or I get n equals 5. I hope you guys have enjoyed.